The Wizard of Oz. Once upon a time, in a small farmhouse on the Kansas plains, lived a little girl named Dorothy. She lived with her Aunt Em, Uncle Henry, and her beloved dog, Toto. Life was simple and often hard on the farm, but Dorothy's love for Toto brought her joy and comfort. One day, as Dorothy and Toto played outside, the sky darkened, and a fierce tornado appeared on the horizon. Aunt Em and Uncle Henry rushed to the storm cellar, but Dorothy, trying to catch Toto, was swept up by the powerful winds. The house was lifted into the air and carried away, spinning through the sky. Dorothy clung to Toto as the house spun wildly, and suddenly, everything went still. The house landed with a jolt, and Dorothy, trembling, opened the door. To her astonishment, she found herself in a beautiful, colorful land unlike anything she had ever seen. She had arrived in the magical land of Oz. As Dorothy stepped out of the house, she was greeted by the Munchkins, a group of small, cheerful people who lived in the land. They thanked her for saving them from the Wicked Witch of the East, whose reign of terror had ended when Dorothy's house landed on her. The Munchkins celebrated their newfound freedom, singing and dancing in joy. Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, appeared in a bubble of light and welcomed Dorothy to Oz. "You have done a great service by freeing the Munchkins," Glinda said. "But you must be careful, for the Wicked Witch of the West will seek revenge for her sister's death." Dorothy, feeling overwhelmed, asked Glinda how she could return home to Kansas. Glinda advised her to follow the yellow brick road to the Emerald City, where the Wizard of Oz lived. "The wizard is powerful and may be able to help you," Glinda said. With Toto by her side, Dorothy set off on the yellow brick road. Along the way, she met 3 companions who joined her on her journey, each with a wish they hoped the wizard would grant. First, they met the Scarecrow, who longed for a brain. Then, they encountered the Tin Man, who wished for a heart. Finally, they befriended the Cowardly Lion, who desperately wanted courage. Together, the group faced various challenges and dangers on their way to the Emerald City. They encountered enchanted forests, fought off fierce creatures, and outsmarted the Wicked Witch of the West's minions. Through it all, Dorothy's kindness and determination kept them going. When they finally reached the Emerald City, they were awed by its splendor and the brilliance of the green gemstones that adorned everything. They were taken to see the wizard, who appeared as a giant, disembodied head surrounded by smoke and fire. The wizard agreed to grant their wishes, but first, he gave them a task to bring him the broomstick of the Wicked Witch of the West. Determined but frightened, the group set off for the witch's castle. The witch, aware of their mission, sent her flying monkeys to capture them. Dorothy and Toto were taken prisoner, and the others were left behind. The Wicked Witch demanded that Dorothy give her the magical, ruby slippers that Glinda had given her, but Dorothy refused. While locked in the castle, Dorothy managed to escape with Toto's help. She reunited with her friends, and together they faced the Wicked Witch. In a desperate moment, Dorothy threw a bucket of water at the witch, causing her to melt away into nothingness. The witch's evil reign was finally over. Triumphant, they returned to the Emerald City with the broomstick. The wizard, true to his word, granted their wishes in unexpected ways. He revealed that the Scarecrow had always had a brain, the Tin Man had always had a heart, and the Cowardly Lion had always had courage. It was their belief in themselves that had made the difference. However, the wizard confessed that he was not a real wizard but a man from Kansas, who had arrived in Oz by accident. He offered to take Dorothy back to Kansas in his hot air balloon, but just as they were about to leave, Toto jumped out of the basket, and Dorothy ran after him. The balloon took off without her, leaving Dorothy heartbroken. Glinda reappeared, and told Dorothy that she had always had the power to return home. The ruby slippers, when used correctly, could take her anywhere she wished to go. All she had to do was click her heels together 3 times and say, "There's no place like home." Dorothy hugged her friends goodbye, promising to never forget them or the adventures they shared. She clicked her heels together, repeating the magical phrase. In an instant, she was back in Kansas, lying on her bed with Toto beside her. Aunt Em and Uncle Henry rushed to her side, relieved and overjoyed to find her safe. Dorothy, though still in awe of her journey, realized that there truly was no place like home. She had discovered the value of friendship, bravery, and the strength within herself. And so, Dorothy's adventure in the land of Oz became a cherished memory, a tale of courage, self-discovery, and the magic that lies within each of us. She lived happily in Kansas, always keeping the lessons she learned in Oz close to her heart, and sharing her story with those who needed a reminder that sometimes the greatest journey is the one that leads us back home.